Building a coaching business is not the easiest thing. And when I say a coaching business, I'm talking about a proper business that is bringing in consistent revenue in a structured way that enables you to run your coaching business like an actual business rather than a hobby that sometimes pays you, which is how most coaches are living. We have over 100,000 qualified coaches worldwide, right? That's certified coaches. That wouldn't even include me. I don't have any certifications. I went through training when I first started my coaching experience, but I never submitted my certification work because I couldn't do essays anymore. After my law degree, I was like, no more essays. So I did all my research, I did all my studying, but I didn't get any certifications. I've never been asked for them. And otherwise, I call myself an expert by experience. My godfather created this term, expert by experience. And I've spent 7 years working as a coach. I've now built my business to the point where I make £20,000 a month, $30,000 a month, and that is scaling and increasing month on month. And not only that, I work with clients that I love. I work the hours that I love, that I want to work, and I find my work deeply fulfilling, and transformational. I'm able to change and transform my life by transforming the lives of others. In fact, the more lives I change, the more that I change my own life. And that's what really excites me about the coaching industry and the whole world of building coaching businesses. This new world that we're moving into is booming in coaching. It's every single year we're getting more and more coaching coaches landing in the world and more demand for coaching because we are at a point where we as humans have turned personal development mass market, which is great. And we know that coaches, if you think about what a coach is at the basic level, a coach is someone that helps someone to achieve a goal. And we are becoming a much more goal driven society. There are downsides of being too goal obsessed, but as a general rule, being a goal driven society is great. However, 80% of coaches do not make a consistent income. So they can't really turn that into something which they can really rely on. And as women, which is I predominantly support female coaches, that's really dangerous for our nervous systems. We need to feel safe in our nervous systems. And my journey as an entrepreneur has been really interesting because I grew up with two entrepreneurial parents and we had I had a very up and down childhood financially. And my nervous system for a long time lived in a state of fear. When I decided I wanted to be an entrepreneur and I wanted to create this life of impact and freedom and fulfillment, I had to work through understanding how to heal that fear and that trauma and create something that has stability and then scalability, which is what I have now. So I now have the benefits of I have the postman. I have the benefits of entrepreneurship, but also the benefits and the stability of having a job. And if I really distill it down to what makes a coach able to create something stable and then sustainable and then scalable and create, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, however much per month, it really comes down to a shift from thinking about the service you're providing to the transformation that you are creating. A coach's job is to help someone to become the version of themselves that has the goal that they want to achieve, has the dream that they want to achieve. We think that it's about strategy and systems, but it's not. It's about identity upgrade. It's about self-concept shifting. And self-concept is a really interesting concept. That's a really interesting concept. Your self-concept is essentially the perception that you have of yourself. It's your beliefs, your ideas, your thoughts about yourself. And we think that it's truth, but it's not. You could stand up in front of a room of 100 people and ask them all to anonymously write down their perception of you, okay? And every single person in that room would say something different because it would be a completely subjective opinion based on their own beliefs, thoughts, and experiences that they've had. But our self-concept, we put it as truth, right? I am this way. I am not that way. I am pretty. I'm not pretty. I'm fat. I'm thin. I'm smart. I'm stupid. And when you are working as a coach, when you really understand how self-concept work and you really understand that your job is to help someone to shift their thoughts, beliefs, and actions into the person that has their goal, and you start to do that yourself, you start to shift and elevate and massively speed up the results that you get. I have spent years and years studying strategies and systems. I would say that I have become a master of online business and marketing, right? I would say that I could help anyone to build a successful online business if they put the work in and the time in and all of that sort of thing. I am obsessed with online business and marketing. I just find it beyond fascinating that we have these tools in our hands and in our houses that enable us to connect with the whole world, um, and sell things to the whole world. And as I said at the beginning, change our lives by changing the lives of others. But what I've learned is that whilst that strategy is very important, if someone's self-concept is living in a very low negative point and they see themselves in a certain way, there's no amount of strategy and tools that you can do to get them to their goal. For example, let's say somebody comes to you and they say, I want to make 10K a month, right? I want to make 10K a month as a business owner, as a coach, which clients do. And I work with clients to help them to achieve. And you start the journey of, okay, well, this is what you do. This is the transformation you create. You're going to post this on LinkedIn. You're going to do this here. We're going to set up this landing page. We're going to do this, right? The exact same strategy you talk to someone else. But if their concept, that their self-concept is of such a belief that they don't deserve certain things, or they believe fundamentally that, here's an example, a classic belief, right, that we have in society is that money doesn't make you happy. It's a subconscious belief that lives through so many people. You can't buy happiness. Money doesn't buy happiness. What your subconscious is going to believe, if you believe that, is that if I then have money, therefore I will not be happy, right? If money doesn't buy happiness, if I have money, I will not be happy. And that is a belief in your subconscious, right? That you are living out that belief. That is the self-concept that you are experiencing. If you don't transform that, right, and you don't identify, heal, release, and reprogram that belief, you will constantly, consistently sabotage your efforts to make that amount of money. Which is why this self-concept work, this identity work, the personal development work is so integral to the success of this whole thing. So, my recommendation for any coach who is on their journey to building their dream coaching business is to start by sitting down. You can use ChatGPT and thinking about, and I'll show you how to use ChatGPT actually, how to do this. What are the thoughts, beliefs, actions, and feelings that I have right now? And what are the thoughts, beliefs, actions, and feelings that I would have when I have my goal? And I've created a really simple way of doing this. Let me show you. It's really easy to do. Let me quickly get this open. So, all you need to do is get a piece of paper, put a line down the middle of it, and you're going to create what I call this. This is your embodiment table. So, embodiment table, lower self and higher self. And here are some different categories. So, I want you to think about, what does the best self of you, what does that higher self of you, what do they think? How do they act? What do they believe? What do they wear? What do they drink? Right? What do they do on the weekend? Where do they live? And I want you to bring them to life, this best self version, this dream version of yourself, who is running your life, who's having your dream life, running their dream coaching business, all of that, right? Bring them to life. And then I want you to identify the unsuccessful version of you, the lower self version of you. What do they think, act, believe, feel, think? And list that out. And then I want you to think about, as you go through this list, which one of these are you predominantly living in? Because what I got wrong on my journey to creating this coaching business, which enabled me to have all that I ever dreamed of, was I knew theoretically what I needed to do. I knew theoretically on this side what I needed to do, but in practice, I was not living it. That's the danger of all coaches. We know theoretically everything we need to do because we've studied it to the nth degree, but we don't practically live it every single day. And that's why this work is so important. Because if you are living here, but dreaming here, you are going to block anything that you do over here. And if over here your dream is to run that dream business, but you're living down here, it's never going to happen. So get yourself a pen and paper, do a line down the middle, best self, higher self, and your lower self. and start thinking about the difference with how, what do they think, what do they believe, what do they act, how do they behave? And here's a ChatGPT prompt. That's me getting the official definition there of self-concept. This is called persona-based prompting if you haven't done this before. Act as a world-class expert in identity upgrade and manifestation. Oh, I've made a typo there. Help me to identify the thoughts, beliefs, feelings, and actions of my higher self who has my dream life and where I am at now in relation to this. Always say this, ask me one question at a time. You're going to turn ChatGPT into your coach. What does your dream life look like and live in the fullest expansion, right? And start talking that out. And what we really want to do is identify where are you already living over here in this best version? Where's my thing? And where are you living down here? And if you can start living up here and you can make that shift of that work and you can do that self-concept upgrade work, the strategy and everything that you learn, it will just flow. So that's my reflection today for all of the coaches out there who are building their dream life.